Greetings everyone. In today's video we're going to be discussing the Buyer's Broker Compensation Contingency Addendum. That is a mouthful, and this is a pretty important addendum that's probably not being used too much and will probably start being used more often as time goes on because there's new changes to the real estate industry as of this year, 2024, in the making of this video. And you want to use this addendum to protect your real estate commission and compensation to make sure that whatever offers you're putting in when you're representing buyers, that you are entitled to a compensation that may be verbally agreed upon when you contacted the listing agent or the seller. This document is what you'll use to make it that the contract is contingent upon you filling out a compensation agreement. Now I'm going to make another video of how to incorporate this particular document with the compensation agreement, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to draft this particular document. It's one page, it's very simple, and you could reference my other video. I'll put a link in the description to the other video on how to incorporate this into a sales contract with the compensation agreement and how to do the whole package to protect yourself and your commission so that nobody's going to try to circumvent you out of your commission or not pay you. You got to have documentation to protect yourself, because if you don't, then there's no obligation for anyone to pay you, and there's no protecting yourself in case it becomes a problem. So you want to make sure you got your paperwork in order in case there is a problem, because everything's okay until it's not okay. And when it's not okay, you want to make sure you have documentation to protect yourself. So let's fill this out. Seller. You put the seller's name here, whoever it is. Let's say today, Billy Bob is going to be the seller. It could be a company, could be a trust. Right now, it's going to be Billy Bob as a placeholder. The buyer, let's say the buyer is going to be John Doe. You put the buyer's name here. Simple enough. Buyer could be also a trust, a company, whatever it is. Next, the property address. As always I say in my videos, you put the full property address. You put the full street number. If there's a unit number, you got to put the unit number in there. You don't leave that out. And you got to put the city, the state, and the full zip code. At least the 6-digit zip code. I see many agents, they leave out the zip code, they leave out the state, they leave out the city even, and you can't do that. Let's do things properly. Don't be one of those agents. Fill it out properly. Full property address. Now, the next part, which some of this can be a little bit confusing, but I'm going to try to simplify this here, is you need to check mark one of these boxes here. One of these boxes. And the way you know which one you're going to check mark is there's two people who could be paying you the real estate commission. Remember, you're filling this out because you're representing a buyer. Now, there's two people who could be paying you the commission. Number one is the listing broker, which is the seller's broker. They could be paying the commission, in which case you check mark this first box, seller's broker. Now, sometimes it may not be the seller's broker. The other second person that could be paying the commission is the seller directly. The seller is directly paying the commission, which I usually see more often, but that's not always the case. If the seller is paying the commission directly, you check mark the second box, the seller and buyer's broker, which should be you. You know, the buyer's broker, company you work for, is paying the is executing a compensation agreement with terms acceptable to buyer. So you need to figure out who's paying the commission. Is the listing broker paying the commission, or is the seller paying the commission? And you choose the box accordingly. If the seller is paying it, which is more, at least what I see more often, more common, you click this box, the second box, the seller and buyer's broker. If the listing broker is paying it, this document calls it the seller's broker, you check mark the first box, the seller's broker and buyer's broker. Simple enough. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Just find out who is paying the commission. It'll be one of two people, either the listing broker or the seller. If it's the listing broker paying the commission, box 1. If it's the seller paying the commission, box 2. And then you just put a date here. It's automatically set to 3 days, but you could put a date here. You could put 5 days, 10 days, whatever it is, so that you incorporate this into your sales contract, so that the sales contract is contingent upon a compensation agreement being executed that's acceptable to the parties involved. And you have the buyer and seller sign and date this, and you can read through the rest of this, but you want to incorporate this document into your sales contract so that a compensation agreement needs to be executed for things to be valid, so that you're protecting your commission, whatever the commission amount is, so that they can't circumvent you or not pay you. So you have this incorporated into your contract, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video, so that when this is all done, they execute the sales contract, whatever the time period you put here, 5 days, 3 days, 10 days, you execute that compensation agreement as well. And in that compensation agreement, you can see our previous videos about it. You'll write your commission amount there, and it should of course reflect your buyer brokerage agreement with your buyer. And that's when you have all those documents put together, now your commission is protected and you could be paid whatever the amount is that the parties are agreeing upon. This document is very important. Without this, they could circumvent you out of your commission or do the sales contract without the commission. Does it happen? I mean, probably seldom. It probably doesn't happen often, but it can happen. And you don't want to be caught in an unfortunate situation where there's going to be a problem. So do your documentation, have this done to protect yourself in case there is a problem. Even though the problem may rarely arise, it can arise, and sometimes it will. So protect yourself. I'll see you in the next video. I'll put the description and the link below on how to incorporate this into your sales contract, and we'll go from there. Thank you.